So today I'm working on the Hummer again. This is a car that I've worked on in the past quite a few times. So I put a sound system in this car, or it had a sound system in it, but I went over the sound system and corrected a bunch of wiring issues that it had, as well as move amplifiers around and just rewire things because it was wired fairly poorly. I guess Tweeters did the install many years ago, and a couple of the amps caught fire, so he was concerned. So I looked over the whole system and I rewired it. Tried to do the best that I could. There's still some things that are messed up, but it's a lot of work. There's a lot of audio equipment in this car. So I'll show you what we have, and then I'll show you what we're going to put in, and should be a decent upgrade for this old sound system. It's relatively old, so I think that's the biggest reason why it doesn't sound so great. So if we could update some of the equipment in here, it's going to sound pretty good. So I'll take you guys through the process. But right here we have this old Alpine amp, as well as that's a DVD player, and that right there is an old Sony 4-channel, or no, that is a 4-channel. Yeah, that's a 4-channel, and this one's also a 4-channel. And then there's that movie screen in there, and then back here there's a few subwoofers and another amplifier in the back here. That custom panel was made by Tweeters. Fancy, huh? So yeah, what we're gonna do is the subs are gonna stay where they are. This amplifier right here is going to I'm either gonna move it or I'm gonna rewire it so that this one powers the door speakers. And then I have two CT Sounds 1200 watt amps that are gonna go in here, and one of them's gonna power the two 10s back there. These two guys, a couple of different subs in there. And then the other one is gonna be bridged to power this. This is a JL Audio W7. This thing handles like a crazy amount of wattage, like 2000 watts. So the system should bump a lot harder. This amp right here is like tired, and it doesn't hit on the door speakers very hard at all. So I think with that Rockville that's back there, it should hit a little bit better. So we're gonna set that up, and we also have a new head unit to put in this car. So there's an old touchscreen head unit that's in there now, but that's gonna come out, and we're gonna get a nice new one in there. So that's everything I gotta do to this car. It's quite a long list, but I'm just gonna start by taking these two amplifiers out, and we'll see if we can get the other ones fitted. And I have to reroute these wires as well, so I'm gonna get these amps out first off. Got that old amp torn out of here. So what I did was taped up our positive just to be safe. There's no battery connected right now, but when there is a battery connected, I don't want this to ground out, short out anywhere. It is fused, but I don't want to blow a fuse. Remote turn on, and then we got all of our speaker wires labeled here. You know, the right rear and the left rear and the other two over there. And then the RCAs are right here, but I'm gonna have to reroute those, I think, or plug them in. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to reroute those. But yeah, so I'm gonna go work on taking this other old amp out, and then maybe we'll get to putting a new amp in. After getting both amps in the car, I've now realized that we are going to have an issue. That DVD player is going to have to be out of there because the door won't even close right now, and that power wire has to reach that. So that's going to be an interesting task. Or maybe I could flip this around and have the power wire come in from the other side, which is probably what I'll do. And then that one over there, I should be able to reroute that power wire to work for the other side, and hopefully the grounds are able to as well. Yeah, so this isn't going to be an easy job. It isn't usually, but yeah, so I got to figure this whole thing out. I'm going to get to work by getting that DVD player out and making sure that it's actually possible to have these two amps in here like this. And if not, maybe we have to put one in the back or figure something out. But it's gonna happen. I went ahead and took out the seats just because I know it's going to make my job much easier to reroute these wires that I need to. So a lot more room in here. Now that these seats are out, there's the two other ones on the other side, but I just found this water in here. This is all full of water. So I fixed the sunroof drain in this car before, but it got clogged again because this car sits a lot. So yeah, we're gonna have to do something about this. I think what I'm probably gonna do is just drill a hole so that water can drain out, because we don't need it. This wire was sitting in the water, so it is shielded, but you don't want wires sitting in water. That's just bad. So we're gonna have to fix that, and we're gonna have to sort out this mess here. So I'm gonna peel back the carpet a little bit and see what we're looking at for wiring. So back here we have our rear amplifier, and I know it's a little bit dark, but this guy right here was powering these two subs, and we're gonna switch that to start powering the door speakers. So I've got to reroute RCA's back here because this is getting only 2 channels here. We needed to have 4 channels to power the 4 door speakers. So I got to route one of those other RCA's back here, and then I'm going to lengthen the speaker wires that go from the front over there where the other amplifier was. These wires right here that I labeled, I'm going to lengthen those and stick them back through and send them right over here. I shouldn't have to lengthen them too much. I know that's dark. I'll get a light, but yep, that's what I'm going to work on now. And after that, I got to install the new head unit because we're not going to know if any of this works until that head unit's in. What's going on, guys? This is the next day, and I'm getting back to work on the Hummer. So I'll just show you what I've been up to in this thing. I kind of went a little crazy, and I decided to take the whole thing apart because I was going to need to anyway. So after the seats came out, I took out the rear pillar, the whole area that houses the, let's see if I can show you here. Move this box out of the way. Oh, everything just fell. But yeah, so if you look in here, you can see there's the amplifier, as well as I took the whole front apart. I'll take you around and show you that. Yeah, so whole center console's apart. I have to take the center console apart to take that panel off that allows me to get behind here, and this is a mess. Like I said, I did not do the original install on this car. Tweeters did it, and they did a terrible job. I didn't even try to mess with too much of this stuff. I did, but I think this time I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit because it is horrendous. I cleaned up the rest of the car, but this is just a mess. They cut the connector from the factory radio and didn't even use any of those wires there to tap into. They tap wires under the dash. It's done absolutely the wrong way. So I'm going to try to clean up some more of this wiring when I go to install this head unit. I think it'll make things much easier for myself, and it should work. And if things go wrong, I know exactly what to check because it is all my wiring. So much better. This is the head unit that came out of it. It looks decent, but it's pretty old and it needs I don't know, it doesn't have Bluetooth, it doesn't have an aux input. There's not really anything it's got going for it. So this thing's gonna go. No point in really having it. The new one has USB audio as well as an aux and Bluetooth, so it's gonna be nice. You will enjoy it. Right after I make sense of all this, I'll show you guys the new head unit and I'll see if I can get it put in. But I still need to get a battery put in this car so I can test any of this stuff out that we put in. So gotta get a battery. I think he wants to order a high performance sound system battery. It's like a bit of a deep cycle battery, so it can get drained and you don't have to worry about it dying. It has a bit of reserve. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna get to work untangling the mess. For me to get any further on this car, I need a working battery in it so that I can test things and multimeter stuff. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to pull the battery out of the truck. So the truck's been down for a little while because of the tail light anyway, so I'm just gonna pull the battery from that, and then we should be able to test some things here on the Hummer and check out what some of these wires even do. So I'm gonna go remove the battery and slap it in here, throw it on charge, and we'll get back to work. So I was just about to take the battery out of my truck and I realized that I had an idea. I'm gonna use the trickle charger that we have that's like an older style, and it'll just continue to charge until the battery shows that it's full, as opposed to the newer style, which is more electronic. So we have this older one, and hopefully that's not too loud. Yeah, but hopefully this works. It seems to be working right now. I've got it hooked up to the old charger with the dead battery. It's definitely got a dead cell in it or something, but it's enough for me to turn the key on and check for power and stuff like that, ignition. So I'll show you this charger. Shows that it's charging. So that's a good sign. Yeah, that looks good. So we should have power in the car now. So I'm gonna go start probing stuff with a multimeter, and we'll see if we can figure this wiring mess out. Right now what I'm trying to do is I have my multimeter hooked up and I have one of the leads stuck into a known ground. I traced this wire and I found that it does go to ground, so I know that that is a ground. And all these other wires here I want to tap, like these ones, for the new head unit. I want to try to make sure that all the wires are correct. So in order to find out what's what here, I'm just probing things like this wire right here, you can probably see hanging on by a thread, but when I touch that wire the meter does nothing. So if I turn the key on, I'll put it in accessory mode here. That's actually all the way on, but that's fine. And if I touch this again, now we have almost 12 volts, but keep in mind our battery's charging and it's dead. So on there we got almost 12 volts. So that means that that is accessory on. That's going to give us 12 volts. So we know that that is a switched 12 volt source. So now we can run that to the corresponding wire on the back of our new head unit. So I'm going to go through and probe all the wires that I need to connect, and anything else I'm going to cut and get rid of, and then we're going to make some connections and see if we can get this thing powered up. So I've been at this for a little while. I ended up going underneath the dash and I tapped a constant power because that was the only connection we didn't have. Right here I labeled everything here. I've got 12 volts and that's switched, and then this one right here is 12 volts constant, and let's see what else we have. A ground somewhere in here, and I think that's all we have hooked up as for right yet. I still have to hook up the remote turn on, but I just wanted to see the head unit turn on. And now when you key the car up here, the head unit turns on. This is the new head unit. So here we go. I'll hit OK. And yeah, so I just ate a bug. It's really buggy in here. But yeah, so everything seems to be working. I'm gonna call it quits for tonight because it is too dark and buggy to work on this thing. But yeah, I'm excited. We're making progress. Hopefully tomorrow I can get it mostly put back together up front. I still have to run a backup camera because this thing has a backup camera. I have to run that, and I gotta run another wire for the reverse signal input so that it knows when to turn the camera on when the car's in reverse. So I'm gonna worry about that tomorrow, but as for tonight, we're looking pretty good.